G'day my fellow media collectors, I'm Troy and today we are looking at an attempt by Hanna-Barbera to capitalise on their successful cartoon series The Super Friends by trying to make a live action version. And to help them do that, they brought back together the iconic Batman and Robin from the 60s. Of course, we're talking Adam West and Burt Wood. But alas, it failed dismally in the ratings. So what show is this, you ask? Well, it's the one and only
Legends of the Superheroes.
The Legends of the Superheroes were two TV specials that were produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and DC Comics. The specials were broadcast on the NBC Network on the 18th and the 25th of January 1979. These TV specials served as a reunion of sorts for the 1960s Batman TV series, as it brings back together three of its stars reprising their respective roles for the first time on TV in over a decade. This DVD has both specials with a runtime of 49 minutes each. It was first released on DVD on the 19th of October 2010, and it was distributed by Warner Home Video. In the first special, The Challenge, we see the Justice League of America team up to stop the Legion of Doom, who announce they have hidden a deadly bomb in a secret location, and the heroes must follow clues to stop their scheme. But the quest to find the bomb is just a ruse to trick the heroes into drinking Dr. Sivana's depowering potion, which leaves the members of the Justice League powerless. Can our heroes defeat the villains and disarm the bomb without their powers? In the second special, The Roast, the heroes gather for a comedic roast where they are playfully mocked by friends, villains, and bizarre new characters in a variety show format, complete with skits, puns, and a laugh track. The scripts for the episodes, well, they really reflect an era when superheroes on our TV screens were never treated with any seriousness whatsoever, but always with this light-hearted humour and a very generous dose of camp. Granted, this show was directed at a younger audience, as this was meant to be a spin-off of the Super Friends. As such, the scripts for both specials were incredibly shallow, riddled with corny jokes and groan-worthy puns, and laughable dialogue that even kids of that time would probably find cringy.
It's hard to watch.
The first special of The Challenge features a barely there plot that never builds to much tension. The narrative feels paper thin at best, with the heroes being mostly reactive and the stakes, well, they never feel particularly high, even for the light-hearted story like this. While The Roast, on the other hand, devolves into this bunch of disjointed skits and outdated jokes, even for the 70s.
I thought my jokes were bad.
With the humour often missing the mark, relying on some terribly poorly written jokes, weak one-liners, and a laugh track that feels out of place at times, making it feel more like a parody than a tribute that just drags on for far too long.
This is taking forever.
While this could be entertaining in its own quirky way, I'm afraid that these two specials sort of highlight the limitations and the tonal dissonance of trying to blend superhero action with a variety show comedy in a live action setting. Ultimately, the writing for these specials feels more like a hastily assembled comedy show than a meaningful homage to these characters. They have a certain nostalgic charm for fans of campy superhero adaptations, but these specials are at best appreciated as, shall we say, quirky relics of their time rather than high quality superhero storytelling. And for that, that's why I'm going to give this a 6 out of 30. Now, the show has based all of the characters on what they were like in the comic books at the time. Now, to clarify, I mean in their costumes alone, which, by the way, were very comic book accurate, which I gotta give them points for that. But there was a real misuse of these characters at times in the show, with the only resemblance to their comic book origins being in name and costume alone, which, despite the wide array of heroes and villains they use for this show, they ended up being reduced to stereotypes and one-note caricatures of their characters. One thing that surprised me, even with this wide array of characters that they had, they really underutilized them. Like the Huntress and the Flash get little to no screen time. I don't even think the Flash says a word. But yet they introduce a new character created for this special, Ghetto Man, who was solely there for some very cringe-worthy comic relief that really should have been left out.
Look, it was a different time.
Though, look, you've really got to give it to Hanna-Barbera for their ambitious attempt to try and bring so many of DC Comics characters to life in this live action show, as the majority of them, except for a handful like Batman, Robin, Shazam and the Riddler, mark their first time on screen in a live action performance for a lot of these characters.
Really? I did not know that about you.
Now the cast, which I will bring up here, and of course, like the majority of us out there and myself, you probably spotted a few names straight away. And of course, I'm talking about Adam West, Burt Ward and Frank Gorshin, our Batman 66 alumni. But then we also have Ed McMahon, who most people out there know him from The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. So besides these couple of standouts, the rest of the cast, from what I can tell from my research, was that they were mostly bit part actors, voice actors for cartoons like Howard Morris, and comedians of that time. Overall, the cast does their best with the limited material they have, and many of the actors really bring a sense of fun and camp to their roles in that style of that Batman 66. But you have to give it to Adam West, Burt Ward and Frank Gorshin, who really stand out as the clear highlights in these specials, as they just slip back into that Batman 66 performance that they are just so well known for, with their charisma and their familiarity to the characters that we all know and love. It was great to see. Other than our three main stars here, the rest of the ensemble, their performances are little more than footnotes in this quirky legacy of a campy superhero adventure. And look, for that, the best I can give it is a 6 out of 20. Okay, if we have a look at the disc and case, I really don't mind this. This really caught my eye when I first discovered it, because of course Adam West and Burt Ward on the front, but then on the other side you've got a look at some of the other characters who really do stand out and make you go, ooh, I really want to see what that's about. So I have to admit, that cover is pretty good in that sense that it sucks you in, makes you interested, especially if you didn't know what this was about. If we look at the side, that does stand out on your thing, very easy to find on your shelf. If we look at the back, just the classic, like I said, Warner Archive. They do put, they're hit and miss. Like, some of the Warner Archives do a good job and some of them are very basic, but this one I felt they do a good job with it. So if we look at the disc, this is where they get let down, as it's just the Warner, as you can see. It's pretty basic. That's probably where it gets let down in that sense. A nice picture of, it's not like they don't have some great pictures of some of the characters and stuff they can put on there. Look, overall, I don't mind this one. It stands out a little bit, looks good, probably one of the better ones of the Warner Archive releases. So for that, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. So there's just one special feature on here, and that is just a couple of deleted scenes and some outtakes, which is, look, honestly, is really nothing worth watching. It looks like when they were putting it together, they like found some leftover footage with the initial movie and went, screw it, we'll just throw it on the DVD. Not really put together in any way, shape or form, just threw it on the DVD. But yeah, it's nice to have something on there, but not special at all, shall we say. So look, because it does have some special features, they're not huge special features. It doesn't even list it on the back. I'm probably going to give this a 2 out of 10. As I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, as you can see, the critics came in at 0%, while the audience score came in at 0% as well. Oh well, you know what that means? Yeah, of course. We've got to go to IMDb, and they have a score, thank God, and that is a 5.4 out of 10. Now, looking at the reviews, the majority of them are complete polar opposites when you look at it. Very 50-50, with half of the people who love it as a kid giving it a great number because of the old nostalgia. And then of course, people who didn't grow up with it, watching it for the first time in, say, current times and just absolutely bagging it. But this is to be expected. And yeah, I'm not real surprised with how this pans out from a score perspective. And of course, because it puts it pretty much straight down the middle, that means we're going to round it out to, of course, a 5 out of 10. Look, so for me, I never saw this as a kid. I don't even know if it even came out here in Australia. Hell, I didn't even know this existed until maybe about 10 years ago when I came across it on Amazon doing my searches by accident. And straight away, I saw Adam West and Burt Ward on the cover, and I knew I had to have it for the collection. I did buy it some time ago, and I did watch it almost straight away when I got it because I really wanted to see what this was about. But holy Jesus, was I perplexed. Did I say that right? Perplexed?
That's close enough.
When I was watching this. And since I have been reviewing some older stuff for some of the regular viewers here, I thought, this would be a great one to revisit and review. Now, for me, sometimes I find that doing some research into these older pieces of media can really help you understand why this was made and who it was really made for, and help you understand it a bit better. For me, in this case, it really did. You know that this was primarily made for kids and was meant to be this live action spin-off of the Super Friends, which was an absolute hit for Hanna-Barbera at the time. And this, well, kind of explains why this failed like it did. You see, for a kids show, even though the jokes were bad a lot of the time, most of the time, those jokes were actually aimed at adults. And the roast episode, which was meant to be a rip-off of the Dean Martin celebrity roast that was on TV at the time, which was very popular with an adult audience, but not kids. And as you can see, it really missed its core audience. And another thing too, for the live action aspect, I think it was really ambitious to try and do that in that day and age with the very limited special effects and production values, that some of these characters just sort of came off as cosplayers dressed up for Halloween. They're incredible heroes with cheap and cheesy special effects, even for that time, and it was made on a very small budget from what I read.
And it looks cheap as hell.
Look, my hat is off to them for trying this with the limited resources they had, but ultimately it was a big failure by anyone's standards. If you like your Batman 66, then by all means, give it a watch. It's great to see the old crew back together. But if you're not, then look, there's nothing really here for you. And that's why I'm going to give it a 4 out of 20. For availability, I'm probably going to give this a 4 out of 5. Like, it's old, and it's not like there's a huge amount of copies out there for sale. You will find them on eBay, but yeah, you will have to look a little bit to get one. Now, for collectability, I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Now, this one is definitely what they class as a cult classic, very much so, and it's a great one for those collectors of Batman 66. Definite must have. So, for anyone building a collection, definitely one to have in there. Now, for your average price, you are looking at somewhere between the $30 to $85 mark for DVD. So look, it does vary a bit, and it pays to shop around if you want a copy. Let's go to the scorecard and see how this one shapes up. 30 out of 100. So look, not great, but not super terrible either. Look, this is definitely one for those Batman 66 fans like myself, or someone who has the love of that nostalgia for those old, weird and wonderful TV gems from history.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Hey, so if you like this video, you want to see some more of my reviews, why don't you click that one there? Maybe you want to see some of my collection updates. Got you covered too. Why don't you click that one there? And of course, don't forget to do the most important thing. Throw me a like. Don't forget to hit that subscription button on the way out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.